researchers have uncovered what's believed to be Jesus' tomb inside the Church of the Holy Sepulchre.
Workmen uncovering the marble slab over the tomb. The historian Eusebius said he did it to cover the tomb where Jesus was buried.
Scientists, after centuries of searching, have claimed to have discovered Jesus' burial site. Inside, they assert to have unearthed profound insights into long-standing mysteries. But the question remains, did they find Jesus' remains? Join us as we reveal what's hidden within the tomb and its implications for our beliefs. The Great Mystery of Jesus' Tomb. The Great Mystery of Jesus' Tomb. The location of Jesus' tomb is a topic of great historical and religious significance. Disagreement and speculation have abounded regarding the specific location of the tomb, which has led many explorers and researchers on an often fruitless search for clues as to the tomb's whereabouts. The historical significance of discovering Jesus' tomb is, without question, immense. The location at which Jesus was buried after his crucifixion represents the final setting of the Passion of Christ. Because Jesus' entombment is such a critical event in Christian doctrine, its location has, since the 1st century CE, been a topic of great interest to Christian pilgrims visiting Jerusalem. It has been suggested that their interest may have led to the site's designation and, subsequently, the construction of a shrine at the Holy Sepulchre Church. Today, the church marks the most venerable and widely accepted site of Jesus' entombment and resurrection. However, as we go on, this conclusion is not at all based on evidence from the biblical, historical, or archaeological records. Given that the case for the Holy Sepulchre is a weak one, there have been many alternative suggestions over the centuries for the location of Jesus' tomb. The first Protestants in particular rejected the traditional site as being too closely aligned with the Catholic Church. Some have suggested that the garden tomb just north of the Holy Sepulchre Church is, in fact, the correct site. The garden tomb has the appearance of a 1st century Jewish tomb and sits upon a rock face that is very similar to that described in the Gospels. In recent times, scholars have also debated over the location of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre itself, suggesting that the site of the 4th century church is, in fact, the Church of the Resurrection and not the Holy Sepulchre. So, yes, scientists have claimed to find the burial site of Jesus, but the point where it has been found, there are a lot of theories to it. But at the end of it, what secrets did the scientists find in here? Keep watching to find out. According to biblical and historical records, the most probable location for Jesus' burial is a site near the place of his crucifixion. In the account of Jesus' burial, the Gospels describe Joseph of Arimathea as taking down the body, wrapping it in linen clothes, and laying it in a tomb. Nearby was a garden, and in the garden a new tomb where no one had ever been laid. Symbolized by the traditional garden tomb and the site near the place of the crucifixion, the tomb was likely a temporary one chosen due to the impending Sabbath. This biblical description is what later led our team to reinvestigate the topic of Jesus' tomb in the city of Jerusalem. In the field of biblical archaeology and historical Jesus research, the question of whether or not to verify the location of Jesus' tomb has been a controversial issue. Revealing the fragility of Christian dogma in contrast with historical reality, many have called for an inquiry into the location of Jesus' tomb as a test of the historical truth of the resurrection. Others, however, fear that such an inquiry will lead to the desecration of a site that has highly significant religious meaning to a large number of people. For actually finding the bones of Jesus might suggest that, after all, the Gospels do tell us something about Jesus' life, that he was an eschatological prophet who expected the world as he knew it to come to a screeching halt, anticipated the arrival of God's kingdom on earth, and believed himself to be the agent of that kingdom. That he thought this would occur in his own lifetime is not only a fundamental part of the Gospel's portrait of Jesus, but is an assumption woven into the fabric of earliest Christian belief, including beliefs about Jesus' own identity and mission, to say nothing of the nature and role of the apostles whom he left behind. However, the evidence cited by the filmmakers to support their reconstruction of the historical Jesus is intriguing, but far from airtight. After Jesus' suffering, the apostles were preaching opposition to the point that Jesus Christ was never a Messiah, and the teachings of Christ were the teachings of a new Messiah. The belief of the opponents grew so strong that the opposition decided to disprove the teachings and make preaching that would render the Christian apostles ineffective. Death stories were proving death teachings, so the thought was to show the place of death, which was lying in graves and blood. This decision led to the expansion of the location of Jesus' tomb from the hill of crucifixion, and finally to Jesus' burial place. At the time of expansion, the hope for rediscovery of the grave's exact location grew stronger, because it might have led to evidence that would have successfully censured the apostles. Despite the litigation, there is no record that there was a rediscovery of the tomb. The opposite preaching and litigation were set aside at the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD, and there was no find, which, as mentioned earlier, adds to the mystery of the location of Jesus' burial. This has been a mystery for the longest time now, with people wanting to know where the tomb is. However, as time went by, there was more and more hope that it would be found, and eventually, after quite the search, it was found. But what was in the tomb that was sealed for more than 2,000 years? Stay tuned to find out. The early Christians paid little attention to the tomb of Jesus. It is being said that they had no interest in the tomb's relics because of the resurrection and bright future. The resurrection is a symbol of life beginning because of Jesus Christ. There is no death and end, but rather who one will become. This belief is also why the dead were only remembered on the anniversary of their deaths. It is said that the focal point of the early tradition was not the tomb, but the place of passion, death, and finally, Jesus' appearance. Although not the focal point, the tomb's location achieved significance sooner than thought. The author discusses the historical evidence about the tomb of Jesus with much hesitation. He admits to avoiding the subject at all costs. The reason for the hesitation is that it seems no one knows what really happened. Depending on which gospel and verse are read, the location and events of Jesus' burial seem to change. In John 19:38-42, Joseph of Arimathea lays Jesus in a new tomb in a garden near the place of his crucifixion. In Mark 15:42-47, Joseph buys a linen shroud and places Jesus in a tomb cut of rock. There was no mention of it being a new tomb in a garden. Because of the differences in the accounts, the exact spot of the tomb was unknown. Discovery of the sealed tomb. Following a tip-off in 1980 and nearly a year of negotiation, the Garden Tomb in Jerusalem was first excavated in 1981. At the time, no mention was made of a nearby Second Temple period tomb by representatives of the committee appointed to oversee the excavation. Not until 1989 did the Garden Tomb authorities revisit the issue of excavation in the context of the proposed development. It was this association of the tomb site with modern-day development that evoked concern that the symbolic and tangible value of this area as the site of an ancient tomb might be lost. This prompted a formal research design involving the compilation of all previous information on the tomb from an archaeological, historical, and architectural perspective, along with plans for a possible excavation in the future. In response to a need for more information regarding the tomb's construction features, dates, and historical identity, a controlled excavation was carried out from July 23 to August 28, 1994. This made possible the acquisition of a complete dataset for future research into the tomb and its history, along with the development of effective policies for intervention in the preservation of the site. During the preparation of the site for the controlled excavation, various tests and recordings were made with the intention that research would remain minimally invasive. These included cleaning and drawing a plan for the tomb area, along with organizing a photographic database and documenting the architectural features of the tomb. A detailed grid plan of the area was established in preparation for the excavation, and a system of tags and a database for small finds recording were decided upon. A major part of this process was the collaboration between the project's archaeologists and a team of conservators, resulting in a comprehensive strategy for site preservation. This involved recommendations for maintaining the iron fence around the tomb and preventing water drainage into the tomb area. All the data acquired in these preliminary stages was to form the basis of an overall project to research and preserve the Garden Tomb. In 1980, initial preparations for road construction in Jerusalem's Peace Forest led to a synopsis of the terra firma that would eventually become the location for a tomb containing ossuaries, which would testify to the notion of an ancient Jewish-Christian community. The request for the removal of the tomb and its subsequent excavation by the Israel Antiquities Authority in 1981 led to the removal of a plastered stone that had sealed the tomb. This specific and rare archaeological find was the catalyst for the beginning of this investigation. According to Amos Kloner, the archaeologist responsible for this excavation, in his 30 years of studying Jerusalem rock-cut tombs, he had never once encountered a tomb that had been sealed by a rolling stone. The find of a removed ossuary location and a stone placement was enough evidence to suggest that this was, in fact, the tomb of the wealthy ancient residents of Jerusalem. An assemblage of ossuaries was shown to be displaced from their original location, and from the initial findings, it was clear that this tomb and its contents were unlike others in Judea during the Second Temple period. The artifacts analyzed are significant in several ways. Their proximity to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is important to note. Being right near the church that many believe contains the site of the crucifixion and burial of Jesus reinforces the belief that the tomb and its contents were once thought to be those of Jesus. If indeed these findings are those of the tomb of Jesus, then it would be the first time that physical evidence can be linked to the historical Jesus. While the implications of this are large, it is essential to focus on what was actually found and how it relates to Jesus. Of the several findings, the adequately dated stone slab is the one thing that can be connected to Jesus. The account of Jesus' burial in the tomb states that after the crucifixion, Jesus was laid in a tomb, and a large stone was rolled into the entrance. The slab discovered in the tomb in 1980 is the only thing that can be reasonably associated with Jesus. And this is a crucial piece of evidence because it matches the described events regarding the burial of Jesus. At the time when the burial was first discovered, it aroused the interest of archaeologist Vasilios Tsaferis, who suggested the tomb be opened once more for further research when the techniques had been developed. He believed that evidence of the tomb and crucifixion of Jesus could be uncovered, and what he requested nearly 26 years ago has come to fruition. The proximity of these findings to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is no doubt significant because it would provide physical evidence to support the Church's long-standing tradition regarding the location of Jesus' tomb. A statement was made by the Greek Orthodox Patriarch of Jerusalem in the wake of the tomb's discovery, expressing its importance to Christianity and Hellenism. A thorough analysis of the findings of the excavation has the potential to impact the way in which early Christianity and the origins of its beliefs are understood today. The primary purpose of this analysis is to provide a comprehensive examination of all evidence in order to determine its meaning and draw conclusions from the data. This will be done systematically, according to the type of evidence. It is necessary to develop a clear understanding of the nature of the data since it is so unique, and its interpretation can be very subjective. This can be a difficult, time-consuming, and often frustrating process, but it is necessary in order to ensure that the most accurate conclusions are drawn. The findings of this research are significant because they shed light on a subject that is currently known only by historical records and are able to provide a complete understanding of this time period. Also, they have the potential to confirm or refute details of the resurrection of Jesus, which would be a major discovery in the field of biblical studies. The Archaeological Expedition. The excavation process of the tomb of Jesus, which was sealed for 2,000 years, is a fascinating topic that involves a combination of archaeological techniques, expert knowledge, and historical context. The tomb was discovered in March 1980 during the construction of an apartment complex in Talpiot, 5 kilometers south of Jerusalem. When the construction team uncovered the tomb, they immediately contacted the Israel Antiquities Authority, IAA, to inspect the site. The IAA assigned a salvage team led by the late Yosef Gat, including Shimon Gibson, Amos Kloner, and other experts, to excavate and map the tomb and remove its contents for study and preservation. The excavation process involved several challenges, including the need to work quickly to preserve the site before it was destroyed by construction, and the need to use non-destructive techniques to avoid damaging the fragile ossuaries and other artifacts within the tomb. The team used ground-penetrating radar to determine the presence of cave walls and other features within the tomb, revealing that the cave walls were still intact. The tomb contained 10 limestone boxes, known as ossuaries, which were used by the Jews for secondary burials. The ossuaries contained the bones of the deceased, which were placed in the tomb for 1 year to decompose before being transferred to the ossuaries. 6 of the ossuaries had inscriptions bearing the names of the deceased, including Jesus, son of Joseph, Mariamain Emara, and James, son of Joseph, brother of Jesus. These inscriptions have been the subject of much debate and analysis, with some scholars arguing that they provide evidence for the existence of Jesus' family tomb. The excavation of the tomb of Jesus required a high level of expertise in archaeology, epigraphy, and Jewish burial practices. The team included leading experts in these fields who used a variety of techniques to study and interpret the artifacts and inscriptions within the tomb. The IAA team also worked closely with other scholars and experts, including Dr. Jody Magnus, an archaeologist at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, who provided insights and interpretations based on her expertise in first-century tombs and burial practices. Despite the many challenges and controversies surrounding the excavation of Jesus' tomb, the process has shed new light on the historical and cultural context of Jesus' life and death. The discovery of the ossuaries and other artifacts within the tomb has provided valuable insights into Jewish burial practices and the social and economic status of Jesus and his family. The excavation has also highlighted the importance of preserving and studying historical sites and artifacts, and the need for ongoing research and analysis to deepen our understanding of the past. The exploration of ancient tombs offers a thrilling journey into the past, and recent discoveries have not disappointed. Let's delve into the details of 2 remarkable findings that have captivated historians and archaeologists alike. The tomb of Cerberus in Italy. In the municipality of Giugliano in Campania, near Naples, a sealed tomb dating back to the era of Jesus Christ was unearthed in an astonishing state of preservation. The tomb, over 2,000 years old, was discovered during routine archaeological surveys conducted before construction work commenced. Upon entering this ancient resting place, archaeologists were greeted by vibrant frescoes adorning the walls, depicting scenes from Greek mythology. One of the most striking images is that of Cerberus, the fearsome 3-headed dog known as the guardian of the underworld in Greek lore. This mythical creature was said to prevent the living from entering the realm of the dead and the dead from escaping it. The tomb's artwork also includes ichthyocentaurs, fascinating sea creatures with the upper body of a human, the lower half of a horse, and a fish's tail. These beings are depicted holding a shield, with a Cupid-like figure nearby, adding to the tomb's mythological narrative. The Tomb of Cerberus, as it has been aptly named, offers a vivid portrayal of the beliefs and artistic expressions of an ancient civilization. Hidden layers in Jesus' tomb site. Moving to Jerusalem, at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, a site revered by many as the location of Jesus' burial and resurrection, a groundbreaking discovery was made. Using ground-penetrating radar, researchers identified hidden layers behind the marble chamber of the tomb. These layers could very well be the walls of the original cave where Jesus was believed to have been laid to rest. For centuries, it was thought that the original cave chamber had been destroyed. However, the radar tests suggest otherwise, indicating that walls up to 1.8 meters tall might still stand behind the marble. During a restoration project, the main marble slab covering the tomb was removed for the first time since 1550, revealing not only rubble, but also a second marble slab, which is believed to lie over the original cave wall. These findings are not just about stones and paintings, they are a testament to the enduring human spirit, our quest for understanding, and our deep-seated need to commemorate the profound moments of our shared history. Whether it's the mythical guardians of the afterlife or the sacred sites of religious tradition, these discoveries connect us across millennia to the people who once walked the paths we now tread. This precious, perhaps holy object, which was sealed for 2,000 years, was discovered in a remarkable state of preservation. When the restoration team removed a marble layer for the first time in centuries, they uncovered a layer of debris and another marble slab, which is believed to date back to the 12th century. Under this slab, there is a whitish layer, but experts are still unsure if it is the original rock. The tomb is located in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The church is home to 6 Christian denominations, and the restoration project required mutual agreement from all of them. The restoration team has been given only 60 hours to excavate the inner sanctum, and experts are working day and night to reach the tomb's core. and analyze it. Once the restoration is complete, a rectangular window will be cut into one of the edicule's marble walls, allowing pilgrims to glimpse a part of the limestone wall thought to be the tomb of Jesus. The tomb's discovery has been described as astonishing by National Geographic archaeologist Frederick Hebert, who is accompanying the restoration team. The project is a historic renovation to reinforce and preserve the edicule, which is in need of reinforcement after years of exposure to humidity and candle smoke. Analyzing the artifacts. But what did they find inside this sacred tomb? When the tomb was opened for the first time in centuries, scientists were surprised by what they found beneath the marble cladding. They discovered a layer of debris and another marble slab, which is believed to date back to the 12th century. Under this slab, there is a whitish layer, but experts are still unsure if it is the original rock. The tomb contained a limestone shelf, known as a burial bed, where Jesus' body would have been laid after his crucifixion, according to Christian tradition. The burial bed was exposed, allowing researchers to examine the surface where Jesus' body was laid. Initial findings confirmed that portions of the tomb still had endured destruction, damage, and reconstruction. One of the most significant discoveries was the mortar found at the tomb, which dates back to the Constantine era. This finding lends credence to historical accounts of the tomb's discovery by the Romans in the 4th century. The mortar has been dated to approximately 345 AD, which falls securely in the time of Constantine. The discovery of the tomb of Jesus has shed new light on the historical and cultural context of Jesus' life and death, providing valuable insights into Jewish burial practices and the social and economic status of Jesus and his family. The inscription of symbols found in Jesus' tomb after its discovery by scientists offers intriguing insights into the early Christian beliefs and practices surrounding the figure of Jesus. One of the notable discoveries was a 4-line Greek inscription on an ossuary that alludes to God raising up someone. This inscription hints at themes of resurrection and divine intervention, which are central to Christian theology and the narrative of Jesus' resurrection. Additionally, a carved image on an adjacent ossuary depicting what appears to be the biblical story of Jonah further enriches the symbolic language found in the tomb. The depiction of Jonah, traditionally associated with the concepts of rebirth and salvation, holds deep significance in Christian iconography. The presence of this imagery in the tomb underscores the early Christians' emphasis on resurrection and the hope of new life. The inclusion of these inscriptions and symbols in the tomb, dating back to before 70 CE, is particularly significant. It suggests that these markings were made by some of Jesus' earliest followers, possibly within decades of his crucifixion. This archaeological evidence provides a tangible link to the early Christian community. It offers a glimpse into their beliefs, practices, and artistic expressions in the immediate aftermath of Jesus' life and teachings. Overall, the inscriptions and symbols found in Jesus' tomb not only enrich our understanding of early Christian iconography and beliefs, but also highlight the profound impact of Jesus' life and message on his followers. The presence of these symbolic representations within the tomb serves as a testament to the enduring legacy of Jesus and the foundational beliefs that shaped the early Christian movement. The scientific and other examinations of the artifacts and symbols found in the sealed tomb of Jesus have revealed fascinating insights into the early Christian beliefs and practices surrounding the figure of Jesus. One of the notable discoveries was a 4-line Greek inscription on an ossuary that refers to God raising up someone, and a carved image found on an adjacent ossuary that depicts what is interpreted to be an image evoking the biblical story of Jonah. This image of Jonah is significant as it symbolizes resurrection hope in early Christian art. It is a rare motif in first-century Jewish art, given the prohibition within Judaism of creating images of people or animals. These inscriptions and symbols, dated prior to 70 CE, provide the earliest archaeological evidence of Christians ever found, suggesting that they were made by some of Jesus' earliest followers within decades of his death. The presence of these inscriptions and symbols in the tomb, dated prior to 70 CE, is particularly significant. It suggests that these markings were made by some of Jesus' earliest followers, possibly within decades of his crucifixion. This archaeological evidence provides a tangible link to the early Christian community and offers a glimpse into their beliefs, practices, and artistic expressions in the immediate aftermath of Jesus' death. The findings and their interpretation are likely to be controversial, as most scholars are skeptical of any Christian archaeological remains from such an early period. Adding to the controversy is the tomb's close proximity to a second tomb, discovered in 1980, which contained inscribed ossuaries that some scholars associate with Jesus and his family, including one that reads, "Jesus, son of Joseph." The two tombs, less than 200 feet apart, were part of an ancient estate, likely related to a rich family of the time. The tomb containing the new discoveries is a carefully carved, rock-cut cave tomb, typical of Jerusalem in the period from 20 BCE until 70 CE. The tomb was exposed in 1981 by builders and is currently several meters under the basement level of a modern condominium in a neighborhood of Jerusalem less than 2 miles south of the Old City. The tomb was resealed and buried beneath the condominium complex on what is now Don Gruner Street in East Talpiot. In 2009 and 2010, Tabor and Rami Arav, professors of archaeology at the University of Nebraska at Omaha, working together with Jacobovici, obtained a license to excavate the current tomb from the Israel Antiquities Authority under the academic sponsorship of the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. However, due to its physical location under a modern building and the threat of Orthodox Jewish groups that would protest any such excavation, Tabor's team decided to employ a minimally invasive procedure to examine the tomb. The findings and their interpretation are likely to be controversial, as most scholars are skeptical of any Christian archaeological remains from such an early period. However, the discovery of these inscriptions and symbols in the tomb of Jesus offers a unique opportunity to deepen our understanding of the early Christian community and their beliefs, practices, and artistic expressions in the immediate aftermath of Jesus' death. Identity of the occupants. The identity of the occupant of Jesus' tomb, which was sealed for 2,000 years, has been a topic of much debate and speculation. However, the scientists who discovered the tomb have uncovered some intriguing clues that shed light on the potential identity of the tomb's occupant. One of the most significant discoveries was a 4-line Greek inscription on an ossuary that refers to God raising up someone. This inscription hints at themes of resurrection and divine intervention, which are central to Christian theology and the narrative of Jesus' resurrection. Additionally, a carved image on an adjacent ossuary depicts what appears to be the biblical story of Jonah. It is significant as it symbolizes resurrection hope in early Christian art. It is a rare motif in first-century Jewish art, given the prohibition within Judaism of creating images of people or animals. These inscriptions and symbols, dated prior to 70 CE, provide the earliest archaeological evidence of Christians ever found, suggesting that they were made by some of Jesus' earliest followers within decades of his death. The presence of these inscriptions and symbols in the tomb, dated prior to 70 CE, is particularly significant. It suggests that these markings were made by some of Jesus' earliest followers, possibly within decades of his crucifixion. While the identity of the tomb's occupant remains a mystery, the discovery of these inscriptions and symbols in the tomb of Jesus offers a unique opportunity to deepen our understanding of the early Christian community and their beliefs, practices, and artistic expressions in the immediate aftermath of Jesus' death. The presence of these symbolic representations within the tomb serves as a testament to the enduring legacy of Jesus and the foundational beliefs that shaped the early Christian movement. The historical documentation of Jesus' crucifixion is well established, with multiple sources confirming the event. The crucifixion, a brutal form of execution, was carried out under Roman authority, and Jesus' death on the cross is documented in both Christian and non-Christian writings from the time period. The discovery of the empty tomb is a cornerstone of Christian belief in the resurrection. The Gospels recount that a group of women found the tomb empty on the 3rd day after Jesus' crucifixion, which is widely acknowledged among scholars as a significant piece of evidence supporting the claim of his resurrection. Medical experts have analyzed the Gospel accounts of Jesus' side being pierced with a spear, concluding that it indicates a severe injury to the heart, thus supporting the certainty of Jesus' death by crucifixion. Archaeological efforts, particularly in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, have exposed the original surface of what is traditionally considered Jesus' tomb. This exposure allows researchers to study the original form of the tomb chamber and understand its evolution as a focal point of veneration, since it was first identified by Helena, mother of the Roman Emperor Constantine, in AD 3262. Now, what next? For believers, the tomb's discovery provides a tangible connection to the biblical narratives and reinforces their faith in Jesus' earthly ministry, sacrifice, and victory over death. It also offers a unique opportunity for scholars and theologians to explore early Christian symbols and practices, such as the carved cross on the marble slab. However, the tomb's discovery does not provide conclusive evidence of the supernatural aspects of Jesus' story, such as the resurrection. It offers historical and cultural context that enriches the understanding of Christian traditions and beliefs. The implications of the tomb's discovery extend to the broader religious community, potentially influencing pilgrimage practices. It also prompts interdenominational discussions about the preservation and significance of holy sites. The discovery of the tomb believed to be that of Jesus has significant implications for historical scholarship, religious faith, and cultural practices. It enriches the dialogue between history and faith, providing a deeper understanding of one of the most pivotal events in Christian tradition. Controversial claims, skeptical perspectives, and counterarguments have surrounded the discovery of Jesus' tomb, sealed for 2,000 years and found by scientists. Some skeptics have raised doubts about the historicity of the gospel narratives, questioning details such as the presence of a guard at Jesus' tomb as described in Matthew's gospel. The debate has been reignited by various findings and interpretations, leading to a clash of opinions and interpretations. On one side, there are those who argue that the presence of a guard at Jesus' tomb is a transparent invention and a historical inaccuracy. They point to issues such as the Sabbath day restrictions and the Jewish leaders' supposed reluctance to hire a Roman guard, casting doubt on the gospel account. However, counterarguments suggest that these objections may overlook historical context and misinterpret the text, highlighting the nuances and complexities of the situation. As viewers engage with these contrasting perspectives, they are prompted to consider the implications of these debates on the historical understanding of Jesus' life and death. What do you think about these controversial claims and counterarguments surrounding the discovery of Jesus' tomb? Do you find the skeptic perspective compelling? Or do you lean towards the counterarguments that defend the gospel narratives? Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments section. The tomb, which was sealed for 2,000 years, was discovered by scientists who found a 4-line Greek inscription on one ossuary that refers to God raising up someone, and a carved image on an adjacent ossuary that depicts what is interpreted to be an image evoking the biblical story of Jonah. These symbols and inscriptions are the first archaeological evidence of Christianity from the time of Jesus, and they have been interpreted as an early Christian belief in the resurrection. The discovery of this tomb has also raised questions about the historical accuracy of the gospel narratives, particularly the account of the guard at Jesus' tomb. Some skeptics have argued that the presence of a guard at Jesus' tomb is a transparent invention and a historical inaccuracy, while others have offered counter-arguments that challenge these skeptical perspectives. The tomb's close proximity to a second tomb discovered in 1980 and dubbed the Jesus family tomb has added to the controversy surrounding the discovery. The tomb's contents, including inscribed ossuaries, have been the subject of much debate and analysis, with some scholars associating them with Jesus and his family. The discovery of Jesus' tomb has also influenced future research directions in the field of early Christian archaeology. The tomb's contents, particularly the inscriptions and symbols, have provided valuable insights into early Christian beliefs and practices, and they have shed new light on the historical context of Jesus' life and death. The tomb's discovery has also highlighted the importance of preserving and studying historical sites and artifacts, and the need for ongoing research and analysis to deepen our understanding of the past. The tomb's contents, particularly the inscriptions and symbols, have provided valuable insights into early Christian beliefs and practices, and they have shed new light on the historical context of Jesus' life and death. The discovery has also raised questions about the historical accuracy of the gospel narratives and the role of archaeology in understanding the past. As we continue to study and analyze the contents of this tomb, we can deepen our understanding of early Christianity and the historical context of Jesus' life and death. That's all for today. I will see you in the next one.